What a woman can do is if a man pulls away, she says, instead of saying, what do you feel? She can simply say, so you're thinking about what I was saying. And he'll say, yes. And that yes is a reassuring gesture. The tone of voice will be yes. The more we can do yes, the better thing.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're angry with a woman, don't talk about it. If you want her to change, don't talk about it when you're angry or frustrated or anything. Just suck it up. There's a thing that we men have the ability to do that we've been trained not to do because everybody thinks we have to talk about our feelings. You
No.
don't.
Dishonesty, disrespectful, discrimination, detached, dismissive. That's it. I'm done. Relationships can be messy. Are you having trouble with your personal or professional relationship? Not to worry. As a relationship therapist and coach for over 25 years, I have a lot to share. And so will my guest experts. Let's get smarter in our business and personal lives so we can be our best selves. Now, let's get on with the show. Today, I had the pleasure of having John Gray back on the podcast. I think most of you know who John Gray is. He's an exceptional speaker, author, all about relationships. I don't know how many books he has out there right now, but I tell you, there's a lot. And you know what? Age brings wisdom. I don't care what anybody says. And I don't know John's age, but he's been around for quite some time and he has a lot of wisdom when it comes to relationships. So I hope you enjoy this episode. We speak a lot about the sex hormones and how men and women are biologically different. We can't argue about that. And I just want to remind you, as someone who has worked with couples a lot myself, is I feel the problem nowadays is we want our partner to become more like us rather than celebrating the differences between one another. And no matter how you look at it, relationships or what we why two people connect is selfishly we're trying to have that partner fulfill our needs. It's transactional. It really is. There's a return on investment. There's a reason why I'm with you. I'm benefiting from being with you. And it's our responsibility to communicate that to our partner. We don't like it's not our partner's job to read our minds in some sort of telepathic way to understand us more. It's up to us to communicate what we need from our partner. And, just a simple conversation, being very vulnerable in that aspect, and then use your discernment and say, you know what? I cannot fulfill that need. And this is going to be a problem. Or, you know what? That's not so hard. I can do that. So, yeah, okay. Like it can be that simple. So, tune in and I always love to hear any sort of comments that you might have any of my episodes and enjoy the show. Welcome back to episode 15 of Mixing Business with Pleasure podcast. And I have a repeat offender on the show. His name is John Gray, and I think you all recognize his name. He frankly is the author of one of the best-selling books of all time, aren't you, John? Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
Relationship books. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's congratulations. That's considering how complex this topic is. I think that's really amazing. And yeah, I congratulate you because I mean, I've been doing this work for over 25 years myself, and it doesn't necessarily get easier, I feel. But you know what? I want to, like, in past episodes, I think I kind of focused a lot on conflict and conflict resolution, but I don't want to take this episode in that direction this time. I would much prefer speaking towards the individuality that men and women have, like how distinctly different we are, and yet in some way, fashion, or form, we're supposed to unite and be committed and monogamous and like till the end of time, knowing that we're so different in so many ways, the way we think, the way we execute, the way we problem solve, our needs, our wants, our desires, our sexual drives. So that's a loaded question, but what do you think, John? How are we supposed to do that?
Well, there's a lot of things in that question. Specifically, shorten it to one sentence and I'll answer it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll give a whole talk and I don't want to
Okay,
do it.
exactly. Thank you for that. Okay, this is Luella's brain. It just has so many things. It's sort of knowing that we're essentially so different. Let's just start off with the topic of sex and sexual desires and needs, etc.
That topic.
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard this on other podcasts sometimes, and I just think I still disagree with it. It's sort of like I've heard this phrase over and over. All men want is to get laid. And I'll be completely honest with you. I hear that often, all men want is to get laid. And I just feel like that's sort of a shallow comment to make about men.
Well, it can be. It can be, but it's based upon research in the 20s of a man. When he's in his 20s, they do studies showing how often do you think about sex? Every minute he thinks about sex.
Right. Okay.
And, I teach something called enlightened sexuality, which is I don't think about sex until I'm lying naked with my partner, or not even naked, just lying in bed with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
I think about sex. And usually she thinks about sex first, but not sex itself, just being physically close to each other. And that's maturity in men. There's a maturity in women who, when they feel mature, they feel loved and supported, and they're getting that love and support. They think about sex. If you don't have see, there's a biological thing here, which is somebody once said that males mature much earlier than women when it comes to sex, and women become mature much earlier when it comes to relationships and love. See, there's a value system here. Sex, in my mind, is just as important as love for a marriage. I'm thinking just for a marriage. To keep a marriage together, and you kind of implied that. How can two people stay together when they have so many differences and life moves on, whatever? I was married to my wife, Bonnie, until she passed for 34 years. And what kept us together was sex, but it wasn't just sex. It was what I call enlightened sexuality. It was expressing love in the bedroom through sex. And so there's kind of a dynamic of trying to understand men. And I know that's what you want to do, is understand this. It is shallow. And if a woman just thinks about love and doesn't think about sex, that's shallow. So there's something missing. They kind of go hand in hand. When you think about what makes romantic love is this is the only person I'm having sex with. Okay, so sex is a big part of that. You can just go out with everybody. Sure, there's a feeling of love for the world and people, and maybe not everybody's on my love list, but a lot of people are. I wish you all well and so forth. That's one kind of love. But then there's this physically intimate love that plays a role in becoming a more enlightened type person. It's such a rich experience on a regular basis, to be able to be naked with my wife, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. And if you want to keep the physical attraction to each other, to put it realistically, when we first got married, for both my wife now, I'm remarried. We've been married now 4 years. My wife passed on almost 6 years ago, a little bit more. Bonnie and I had a monogamous relationship that lasted 34 years, and the sex just got better and better. See, when I say got better and better, I enjoyed it more fully because it was an expression of love. One of the limitations that men have that women don't have, when we have the Y chromosome, it gives men 23 extra genes. We start out with all the female genes. Okay, so there's no difference between a baby boy and a baby girl up until about 3 weeks. And then the Y chromosome produces 23 unique genes that only men have. And those genes override, the word is override, many of our female genes. So we can't access those genes. And so like the vagina, you reverse it and you get a penis. It's the same material, but it's reversed. A lot of things are reversed. And one of the major things that's reversed is a woman's need. Well, of course, a woman makes a baby and a man can't make a baby. There's a lot of factors that go into that, of course. But one simple way of looking at it, one factor is estrogen. Men do not make as much estrogen as women. We can't, and be positive. I can make as much estrogen as a woman, but I'll be angry. When a man is angry or afraid, when he's in a stress state, fight or flight, unhappiness, depressed, anxiety, all those states is when a man has high estrogen and low testosterone. For a woman, her anxiety, her depression is all about high testosterone and low estrogen, or just low estrogen. Okay, it can be just low estrogen. Women today in their 50s are now taking testosterone to have some libido, and that's just sort of taking a drug, basically. What allows a woman's testosterone levels to go up, which allows her to desire sex. Always the desire for sex is libido, is testosterone. So if a woman estrogen levels go really high, and this is biology, when her estrogen levels go really high, her brain will automatically reduce luteinizing hormone and cause her adrenal gland to produce more testosterone. So there's two ways to produce testosterone for a woman. One is if I'm feeling really safe and I can depend on my partner and I'm feeling loved, your estrogen levels will go really high. And then comes the desire for sex. The testosterone comes up. That's why we have something called foreplay. Don't need much foreplay. We actually do, but it's not as complicated. All we need for our foreplay is a woman who wants to have sex with us. Okay, that's a big deal to get a woman to want to have sex with you. But there's for a man to have an erection, even he basically needs a surge of estrogen. And so that's why when he connects with a woman being feminine, his estrogen will go up, but he also has earned the right for her to take off her clothes. In most cases, women will require something from a man before she feels the estrogen goes up. High testosterone from being successful now to a woman, being successful to a woman will also raise his estrogen. He'll get an erection. And so when men aren't getting erections, generally it's because their testosterone levels are just too low. Their estrogen is too high. So you see as older, all men as they get older, if they on average, I can't say all men, because for me, my testosterone levels are 50% higher than when I was a young man. They only went up as I grew older.
Okay, so sorry, like to sidetrack then, what do you credit that from?
Marriage. Okay, so there's marriage and two things, marriage and polarity. The reason we have such sexual attraction when we fall in love, okay, when couples are together and they're, I'm not like that now. Okay. Touch, the fingers touch and there's like electricity that shoots through your body. It's because you've just connected. You've been so far apart. But when you're together all the time, you don't have that. Okay. Not that thrill of excitement of coming together because you are together all the time. So when couples are just together all the time, it's hard to feel sexual attraction. I know in my marriage with Bonnie of 34 years, one of the things that kept my testosterone up to be a young man was that I pretty much was gone 6 to 9 days a month. So 6 to 9 days a month. That's 2 weekends, sometimes 3 weekends, I'm away. So, because I teach seminars. And when I would go away, I'm busy building testosterone. I'm putting forth effort. I'm getting on planes. I'm running to catch things. I'm overcoming challenges. Anytime a man is overcoming challenges and he's successful, your testosterone goes up.
Yeah.
Just measure this. If a guy chopping wood, his testosterone goes up. This is actually a study was done. Anytime he feels successful, his testosterone goes up. I was successful. I am successful. So I get validation all the time by people buying my books, people coming to my classes, people clapping for me, and also just people having good results from what I do. Boy, it just feels so good. So that's testosterone going up. Then when I come home, I've been missing my wife. It hasn't been all that estrogen. So now I get a surge of estrogen along with that high testosterone that creates sexual attraction. So that was Now, what allows that attraction to be there is that my testosterone has gone really high. And while I'm away, her estrogen would go high. Now, how does her estrogen go high? Is it she was basically created a life separate from me that supported estrogen production. She had a lot of friends,
Mhm.
garden.
Yeah.
She also gave to charities. She also had a job, so she was doing her job as well. So that's her testosterone production. But at her job, it wasn't a high pressure job. She had support. When women feel I have support, they make estrogen. When they have friends, they have support. Also, my wife was very spiritual. So, she had all these spiritual friends and they did their ceremonies. And the thing about if you look at happy people, the happiest people all believe in God. Okay. And now how can you say that? Well, there's studies that show that. But the one I like to focus on is that if you look at how many people are married today, all the people who are married, 80% of them are all believe in God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in God, from my point of view, whatever define you, you have your own definition of it, but
Hmm.
there's something greater than me that I depend on. It's just simply the idea that there's an intelligent universe out there. Even if I do wrong to other, wrongs are going to come back to me. This is the premise of every single religion in the world, which is if you sow the seed, you get the result. So if I do good, good things will happen to me. It doesn't always work out that way,
Hmm.
but good things will come to me. So that's a testosterone booster. But for women, what's an estrogen booster is to feel that you're not alone and that you're praying or you're talking or some intelligence here is guiding you in your life. You're not
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Feeling not alone is a major stress reducer for women.
Yeah.
Okay? It's okay for men, but more so for women. Whenever you feel I can depend on someone for help, then estrogen levels go up.
Hmm.
Can't depend on any help. Your testosterone goes up. Now let's bring this back to sex. So in the beginning of relationships, you have this thing where newness sets in. That's
Yeah.
newness, dopamine. You get
Yeah.
the dopamine hit. We all know about that now. So that what is dopamine? What we don't know is what dopamine does for men and women differently. Man gets a dopamine rush, his testosterone levels go way high. When a woman gets a dopamine rush, if she feels safe, her estrogen goes high. If
Hmm.
she has dopamine and she doesn't feel safe, then her testosterone goes high. But estrogen's a requirement for women to have romantic feelings. Her estrogen
Yeah.
level double for her have romantic feelings, and then her testosterone comes up where she wants to have sex.
Yeah.
First, she has to feel, and that's the whole concept. Of always been the enlightened concept is foreplay. The
Yeah.
foreplay make the woman feel special. You're committed to her. You do things for her. It's all
Hmm.
about romance is doing things for her.
Yeah.
Why? She can feel like, now I don't have to take care of everybody.
Hmm.
Receive. And so
Hmm.
here's this person who loves me, who cares about me, who's there for me, touches me in ways
Hmm.
that he likes. Foreplay is slowing down your
Hmm.
instincts. We're not gorillas. I'm going to break the concept just for a funny story. I was make this point. We're not monkeys. I was on a vacation in Africa where I went to see the silverback gorillas up in their natural habitat with a guide. So I'm with my guide and the translator, and we're climbing this mountain. And right out of nowhere, because there's bushes all around you, you're going trails to the bush, and this gigantic silverback gorilla just appears. I mean, like in an instant, just comes through the bush, and he's like right there in front of me, 4 feet away. He doesn't see me. He doesn't care about me because he's not threatened by me. And he just ignores me completely. It was not a comfortable thing for me.
No.
It
No.
wasn't that exciting to me. I was not that comfortable. And then right while he's laying down right next to, he decided to lie down right next to me. And then some smaller gorillas came up. One came up and had sex with him, which you don't really see much. She's just sort of rubbing her body and
Hmm.
making noise. And then you can see after a few minutes, there's this gigantic gorilla. He makes a lunge forward. You see his pelvis move forward. 1, 2, 3, and then he falls asleep. He literally fell down right in front of me, falls asleep. Okay, this is gorilla sex. Okay, now what we want to do,
Let's
that's not
hope we don't. Yeah.
that. And to a certain extent, this has sometimes happened in marriages. Maybe a few more thrusts, but basically it's 1, 2, 3, and he's done. Okay, that doesn't keep his testosterone up because it doesn't raise her estrogen higher and higher.
Hmm. Hmm.
Humans, it's not going to do the trick. I'm down in the Amazon. I've gone to different cultures, and I was staying down in a prop plane, landing on a dirt strip, getting in a canoe, 3 hours in a canoe down the Amazon, having meeting up with some guides, going 5 hours through the jungle to go to a place where Westerners don't hang out, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
vacation, and I had two different translators so I can be there and
Mm-hmm.
understand about their customs. And at night, I'm wandering around and I'm hearing all these women have orgasms. They were not doing any romantic gestures. I don't know what foreplay they did, but it wasn't like going out on dates. There wasn't anything romantic going on. They were just sort of wearing kind of primitive clothes and going about their business. But what was their business? Their business was women. The rules were women did the gardening and
Mm-hmm.
women took care of the children and
Mm-hmm.
women cleaned. Men spent the day in the jungle. Men stood guard. Men do what we can easily call dirty, dangerous, difficult jobs. And we
Mm-hmm.
did those, meaning the men, and they didn't complain. They just happy to do it. They happy to do anything the women didn't want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
their life was structured around the things that women's biology feels comfortable doing: safe,
Mm-hmm.
nurturing, interacting, depending on each other, having a life.
Mm-hmm.
And then these men that were providing a function in their life that would have interfered with their happiness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plenty of time. You see that all day long. They don't have TV, they don't have interruptions, and they have, they have no birth control. So the women have babies, and
Mm-hmm.
other women are helping them, and the grandmothers are helping them. It's all like a tribe. But the sex was great, I presume, with women having orgasms. What's that about? What that's about is something called polarity. Is
Mm-hmm.
that doing jobs all day long, they exclusively produce a lot of testosterone, and
Mm-hmm.
women doing jobs all day long that exclusively was producing estrogen and progesterone. These
Mm-hmm.
females outgrown that. Women want to be on their male side, and that's all great.
Mm-hmm.
But where romance comes in the beginning of our relationships today is dopamine comes in and artificially, in a sense, like taking cocaine, the newness of raises high testosterone in men and raises high estrogen in women if they feel safe. So they've been
Mm-hmm.
courted by this man, which means he's demonstrating that he's there for her. So she feels safe. Her estrogen levels go high, and you have this polarity. And
Mm-hmm.
that polarity can last for a few months. That was used to be called the honeymoon period,
Mm-hmm.
or the less 100 years ago, honeymoon period. And
Mm-hmm.
and now, it can last 3 weeks, it can last one date, it can sometimes last a couple of years. But then what happens is familiarity sets in. You no longer
Mm-hmm.
have this high dopamine being with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Serotonin, which is more of a comforting
Mm-hmm.
hormone,
Mm-hmm.
easygoing, it's predictable, it's
Mm-hmm.
routine, nothing to upset you,
Mm-hmm.
no danger, no challenges. But then there's no polarity at that point.
Okay, can I, because just as I dished out a lot of information to you in the beginning, and there was a lot of questions within that, I have a lot of questions for you. So can we pause right here and get back to post honeymoon stage? What do we do with this, newfound serotonin and just, but there's no more polarity. So we'll get back to that. So when you talked about, okay, things have changed now. Oh, I have quite a few questions, but things have changed now in terms of, women doing more work outside of the home. They're not necessarily gardening, nurturing children, etc. They're building testosterone as well. They're running their own businesses. So now we don't have polarity, is from what you're saying, because men's roles haven't really changed that much. They're still producing a lot of testosterone. So what do we do when testosterone meets testosterone?
No sex,
Exactly. Yeah.
no attraction.
Yeah.
The what for an educated woman who's quite capable of running a business and so forth with her education, her chances of getting married are dramatically go down statistically. Educated women have the highest risk of not being married. Okay, so
That's depressing.
yeah, well, but with this knowledge I'm teaching, it doesn't have to be that way. We're talking about a culture that doesn't understand that men and women are different.
Yeah.
Once you understand that men and women are different, this is being taught in all the universities that we're just the same. There's no biology means nothing. You can decide what you want, which
Mhm.
is nonsense. Is
Yeah.
that biology is real, and what we want is, if you're wanting to have a sexual, passionate relationship for a lifetime, realistically, me being someone who has that, it doesn't look like that first honeymoon period. Okay,
Mhm.
what it looks like is when we're in bed and we're
Mhm.
close to each other,
Mhm.
it clicks on
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
quickly. It clicks
Mhm.
on. And that's because there's a natural polarity that we've restored consciously again and again and again in the marriage. And this is what I talk about in this book, Beyond Mars and Venus,
Yeah.
hormonal differences. And then with that knowledge, you can create a range of biological hacks. People are talking hacking computers, hack your partner's hormones. So I hack my wife's hormones every day. One is a committed relationship. That already, there's no way her estrogen is going to go up with me unless it's newness, unless they're in a committed relationship. Through life and through thickness and thin, I'm here for you. Very important for a woman.
Yeah.
So now there's a ground, there's a safety. Now I also practice never talking if I'm angry. Very important. If a man talks when he's angry, it will shut a woman down. Your life's in danger historically if a man talks when he's angry, because when you talk, your estrogen levels will naturally go higher. Talking about if you're in an emotional state and you talk from that emotional state, your estrogen goes higher. This is why we have something called counseling. People are therapists. People come into the office and they talk about their feelings and their emotions. They feel safe to do so. They feel safe to do so because if somebody's in my office talking about their feelings, they're not complaining about it. Okay. If they're complaining about me, it's not safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to be non-defensive if you're not attacking me. So basically, women particularly, 90% of the people who go to therapy, where it's talk therapy, is women. Because when you see, a woman's only going to be stressed when her estrogen is low. Now that's a reality. When her estrogen is low, there's another side of it. If she's cycling on the other side, after ovulation, she still needs estrogen, but most of her stress will come from not enough progesterone.
Yes.
So you've got these two hormones, but basically they're relationship hormones. Progesterone is more feeling, I'm doing what I like to do. I feel safe doing what I like to do.
Yeah.
And estrogen is, I feel safe doing what I like to do, but I'm needing help. So I'm getting it. All right. So when goes to see a doctor, her estrogen levels go up. So way more women go to doctors than men. Why is that? It's a biological support system. If I can talk about my feelings to you, I can talk about my problems. So in a relationship, a biohack is I make sure that my wife can freely talk about her feelings and not shut her down. If I'm getting angry, it will shut a woman down. It just shuts her life. Feel safe? No, she can keep talking, thinking I'm going to feel better, but she doesn't feel safe. The estrogen doesn't go up. And what happens is if a man's annoyed or irritated, a woman wants to get him to talk. Why does she want him to get him to talk? Because she knows if she talks, things will be better. So if he talks, things will be better. But it doesn't go that way. Arguments only happen when men talk.
That
are talking. And so what I've learned as a man, when I'm upset about something, I don't talk about it. Okay. I process it with myself. See, men have the ability to just think about what they're feeling, think about what's going on in their lives, then think about solutions to that. Think about a plan of action. What am I going to do about that? And you make testosterone thinking about things, thinking about problems, and you're the solution to. So today, men are taught, talk about your feelings. None of those Ashwar Indians are talking about their feelings.
No.
They have feelings. And if they get angry, it's just like, used to be men were taught never to get angry at a woman and don't talk to her. Don't certainly, obviously you don't hit a woman, but you don't talk to her about it. What was it, the old saying of don't go to bed angry? Men were taught just don't argue before bed, basically just go to bed.
Right.
Men had a much greater ability to just disconnect from emotions, but today's man is way more estrogen. We have much higher estrogen than ever before, primarily because we have such low testosterone levels. Taught to express our feelings. We've been taught to also, when a woman is solving a big problem in your life, you don't make as much testosterone. See, when I was a young guy, it was scary. I had to have a job to get a woman to have sex with me. And I don't like the whole thing about having a woman have sex with, but that's a real need that men have. But it's superficial and it's low because men don't yet have the awareness. It's through sex that men can feel love more fully. See, we're limited in our muscle mass and our testosterone, high testosterone levels compared to women, and also the overriding genes that keep us from experiencing so much estrogen. Well, sort of lost my flow because I think you have a question.
Well, no, thanks, for
ability to experience estrogen. And what happens is through connecting sexually with a woman, that's the only thing that raises their estrogen so high. Raise a man's estrogen, double it very quickly. Zoom, it just goes up. And he can either feel rejected and it will come crashing down, or he feels successful and his testosterone stays up. And a big part of being, I'm in my 70s, I have 50% testosterone, I have a great sex life. Why? It's not just that I'm successful in my work. I'm successful at home in my marriage. I
yeah,
know estrogen up. In my father's generation, it was enough for my father to make money and not get angry and also punish the boys if they misbehaved. Okay, so he was
yeah,
and the provider. My mother was happy. They didn't have anything to argue about.
yeah, yeah.
Today, women are they need to get back to their female side. I mean, sometimes my wife says, you're such a perfect husband. I just need to get angry at you about something. I say, oh, I'm pound on my chest and get angry about something. And I give her something to be angry about, which
Right.
is pretend I did this and be angry about that. But
Yeah.
it needs to vent those feelings sometimes. And I get her to talk about her job and other things that are upsetting for her. And she needs to be able to express those feelings. On a funny side of this, one of my women clients, she's telling me the story of her husband who doesn't know how to make love. He's very quick, it's a minute in and he's done.
Mhm.
And she says, and afterwards, sometimes she just can't hold it in and she starts screaming for 20 minutes. She says, I feel like I'm going crazy. I said, well, that's what you're supposed to feel during sex. But there's a place where women need to just go full on mindless emotion of happiness and joy and expression of sexual fulfillment. And if a man doesn't provide the polarity necessary for her to get there, then it will be in a destructive way, which you have negative emotions instead of positive emotions. And it has to be, men have to practice restraint. You can't just indulge yourself in having an orgasm right away. Play, you have to learn how to
Yeah.
gradually open her body up through touching and raising her estrogen levels. And if your estrogen levels aren't fully up and he's
Mhm.
just excited, that means his estrogen's so turned on, her estrogen can't come up. It's like if you're
Yeah.
more excited than her, guys, she can't get excited. I saw one movie where the man and woman got together and the guy's like, and she's like, okay, slow down. There's
Yeah.
no her to be the female if he's on
Right.
the side.
Okay. So, okay, but I wanted to get back. Okay, because I'm a well-educated professional woman. So maybe my testosterone, and I like to execute, I like to get things done. Yeah, you could say a little bit more testosterone than estrogen. So am I doomed in my marriage, or how can we?
If you're doomed without the awareness of how to use your marriage to stimulate your hormones, bring it back into balance.
Okay, yes.
I would never say a woman who's competent, capable woman is doomed in any way if she has the knowledge of how to ask her partner and communicate to her partner the things that she needs in order to balance her hormones. So
Yeah.
it's that men do not know. Okay, first of all, men do not know, and 90% of the people who buy these books are women.
Mhm.
So, from the point of view of a woman, she has to educate her partner, communicate to her partner what her needs are in a way that doesn't make him feel offended or like he's being controlled or like
Mhm.
he's a failure. So
Mhm.
once you understand the biology, men understand facts. Okay,
Mhm.
biology is facts, and you understand because you have a strong male side. Does it mean you're doomed to not be on your feminine side where you can feel happy and
Mhm.
orgasmic and
Mhm.
attraction? You just have to be way more feminine than him part of the day during
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
So
And I'm guessing to remind him of what I do need from him.
yeah,
And that, yeah. Yeah.
what
Okay.
my body requires. Okay, you can
Yeah.
sometimes you have to massage these ideas so a man doesn't hear what I do need is you failed me. So I'm reading this book, for example, as a way men can take anytime you want more from a man, he can feel like he can take it. He can, not every man, but most men will take it like I'm not doing enough.
Right.
When I get the message, I'm not doing enough, my testosterone goes
Yeah.
down. I'm not being successful if you need more from me. I've already been doing all of this. It's not enough.
Right.
And it's not enough. I appreciate all these things. I'm learning about my body. I read this book. It's teaching me
Mhm.
as a woman because I'm so competent and capable during the day. I'm making more male hormones in my relationship. I'm realizing I haven't given you a chance to stimulate my female hormones.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there. Well, what would do that?
Mhm.
Giving you a chance to stimulate my heart. Oh, well, I've
Mhm.
learned that. And then you start dissecting one little step at a time. Like in
Mhm.
my book, it talks about estrogen stimulating things,
Mhm.
non-sexual hugs 4 times a day. And that's a
Mm,
simple thing.
yeah.
But it's wake up, he pursues you, gives you a hug. He has
Yeah.
to find, then he's leaving or you're leaving, he has to find you. Then
Mhm.
the logic is you're being pursued. That stimulates a piece of estrogen. It just goes
Yeah.
up. Now,
Yeah.
logically, he loves you, he cares about you, but these little gestures all deal with the unconscious brain. Okay.
Right. Right.
Man there for you. At
Mm.
night, my wife sometimes goes to bed earlier. I say, "Oh,
Mhm.
honey, you're going to bed?" I notice she's leaving. That's a
Yeah.
little estrogen. And I
Yeah.
said, "Give you a hug." And I get up out of my chair and go give her a hug. I don't have to give her a hug. What is she? I don't need a hug. Does she need a hug? What
Mhm.
I go is that whether she knows she needs it or not, I'm
Mhm.
going to give her that because anytime you do a non-sexual hug with a woman, it lasts 6 to 8 seconds. Just a gentle hug. That's enough time for oxytocin levels to go up and renew
Mhm.
of safety. Little things, and you do a lot of these little things. I call them biohacks. Another one is at least once or twice a week for her. See, what I do is don't put it all in the man. Some things are man, you should do this. Other things women should do.
Mhm.
You're a CEO. You know how to make things happen. So
Mhm.
you're gonna create opportunities for him to do things for you rather than
Mhm.
for him. You're gonna create the opportunities for him to do things for you. So you say, so what I learned is that for a woman, if she anticipates a special date, something out of the ordinary where she doesn't have to do anything, that will raise her estrogen. So a week in advance, not that day. You don't say on Saturday, "Hey, what do you want to do tonight? Where do you want to go?"
Mhm.
No, women live in the future to a great
Mhm.
extent, which is
Mhm.
and I live in the future too, in terms of how much money I'm going to make and how much.
Mhm.
It's just that the male side of us lives in that future, but the
Right.
female lives in the future of what are you going to do for me in a week?
Yeah.
It's going to be out of the ordinary routine. We have our routine going on. So a romantic date is something out of the routine, which is not just on the spur of the moment. Which sometimes is nice. Let's go do this. But it's predictable. And
Mhm.
next week what we're going to do. That gives her a chance to prepare in her mind, to be
Mhm.
aware of what's going on. The way the brain works is mysterious ways, but I know, for example, I always look at my schedule of the next day before I go to bed. It just sets my brain,
Yeah.
plan the day, get it
Yeah.
ready to go. And well, for women, when it comes to estrogen, it's what are you going to do for me out of the ordinary, out of the norm, out of the routine,
Mhm.
for, not for you. It's
Mhm.
not like so most guys will say to their wife, "Hey, honey, what do you want to do tonight?" That's already not romantic.
Right.
Second, or he says, "What do you want to do?" And he says maybe 3 days in advance. "Well, honey, what do you want to do next week?" And
Mm.
says, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" "Well, I know just what I want to do." And then she says, "Okay, that's not romantic."
Mm.
Is when he does what she wants to do.
Mhm.
But not romantic is if she was to say, "Honey, there's a play next weekend. I want you to take me." That's not romantic.
Mhm.
But he decides to take you. So how do you set up the situation? See, this is all we need a new creativity to create this attraction that's gone because we're not living like these people in the jungle. Okay. We need him to be more masculine, take charge guy, make a decision. But the decision is what she wants.
Yeah.
A week in advance on Saturday, you just have a routine. You say, "Okay, let's talk about what we're going to do next, what we're going to do next weekend.
Mhm.
Here's 3 things I would love to do." So she
Mhm.
gives options. And you pick, not what he wants to do. These are 3 things that you personally would like to do without thinking, what does he want to do?
Mhm.
Without thinking, will he like to do it? So that's
Yeah.
another don't think this is where he's gonna. Does any man like going into the jungle and threatening his life to save you? We don't like that, but
No.
as soon as we think it's going to make you happy,
Yeah.
want to do it. Okay, it's
Yeah.
a place we need to see the reward
Okay.
consciously. I can fly to China to give a talk. I got one coming up. Do I want to fly to China? No, I don't want to fly to China. It's not exciting for me. I'm doing this for 50 years, traveling around
Mhm.
the world. I like being home, but they offer me a lot of money. Then
Mhm.
suddenly, what I don't want to do, I want to do. So I'm all
Right.
excited about going because I'm going to make a lot of money more than I would make here.
Yeah.
So men maybe he doesn't like to do some of the things you want to do. So women sense that, and then they won't let him know these are things I'd like to do. But
Yeah.
beyond what he likes to do, the meta concept is what will make you happy, then I want to do it. If I understand why it will make you happy, it will definitely make me happier. So
Okay.
planning dates, that's another way to set up estrogen.
Mm,
Talking about you're a CEO or your boss, whatever.
mm,
You come home almost every day, and you say, you put up this, you put 10 fingers up. What that means, there's signals. Men like signals, and then you're not asking for something. And he doesn't have a reaction like, oh no, now I have to do it. It's just a silent signal. So it's 10 fingers up. That means for the next 10 minutes, I want to talk about something that happened today or several things that happened today. And I want
mhm,
your undivided attention. No
mhm,
phones, no looking at
mhm,
the clock, nothing for 10 minutes.
mhm,
All I need you to do is really hear me and just connect with me because I miss you during the day. I don't see you all the time. So this is a way
mhm,
for me to be connected. So you have to give him a logical reason. And
mhm,
once he understands the whole estrogen thing, you also let him know, and this is a big producer in estrogen for women. It's
mhm.
logical. Men will do this stuff. If it's not logical, it's like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
do you want me to do? Just sit and listen? What's the point of that? Well, no big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
You take the more modern man, he's already been taught he's supposed to talk. And you take the modern woman who doesn't feel that if I talk, she didn't even know, many women don't even know talking is producing estrogen. Okay. So
Mhm, mhm,
they don't always know what they need. And often they're turned off to talking because he'll over talk her or he'll
mhm,
solution. So you've got more the masculine guy who doesn't understand women. He's going to say, why would you be upset about that? Well, you shouldn't do that. Well, don't
right.
complain. That's the way life is. That's just a male doing his thinking process. And
Yeah.
you don't have to say any of that stuff. I know it's not a big deal. I just like to talk about it. Just
Mhm,
say magic words. It's not a big deal. I just want to talk. It feels good to talk with you. You don't have to say anything. Don't do anything.
mhm,
That's the reaction men have. And the other reaction men have is you start to talk about something and he outtalks you. He says, oh, you're complaining. Oh my gosh, I have to do this at another time. Well, you should see what happened to me today. And he'll outdo you, and how suffering he's going through. This is what's happening today with men.
mhm,
Okay. They're going too far to their female side. When men
mhm,
produce too much estrogen, all they have is complaints and negative emotion. They show their angst and, oh, I have to do this. I don't want to do that. And then you might ask him, honey, would you help me with this? Oh, I'm so tired. I have to do this. So and so. This is like men have to be taught how to be men.
yeah.
Okay. So you can just say to him, honey, I get that you need to share that. These are the things I prefer you share with your friends,
Mhm,
your guy friends, but not me.
mhm,
Because I'm a woman, I have a different reaction. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to offend you. But
mhm.
when I hear you talk about your feelings, what happens? I start feeling like I'm your mother.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
feel like I'm your mother. So if you use logic, and these are
Mhm.
just a few of the biohacks. I can't
Yeah.
do the whole in an hour, but
Yeah.
those key ones. And another one I want to end with because we're getting close to our ending time.
Mhm.
And you've been married for how long?
27 years in December.
Okay, beautiful. So this is like so sweet. It's, people will say to me, how can we have those sweet feelings we had in the beginning? And well, how did you feel in the beginning? You have to go back to what were you thinking in the beginning? So what was a woman thinking in the beginning of a relationship that turns into something more special? In the beginning, she's thinking, do you like me? And then in the beginning, that grows and she says, do you love me? Oh, he loves me. Okay. And then she thinks, how much do you love me? And then she thinks, are you happy to be with me? Am I the only one? Do you think I'm beautiful? So the process is like this. It's a script that you follow with some variation. And every day at some point after one of those hugs, the woman initiates it ideally. And if she doesn't, a man can say, hey, let's do that reassurance exercise. It's like
Mhm,
a estrogen massage. It's a
mhm,
powerful estrogen massage that only couples and monogamous relationships can get the full benefit of. Okay. The benefit of this is so easy. It's so simple. It's like an injection of estrogen for the woman, beneficial
mhm,
estrogen. Because remember, there's a lot of confusion about estrogen. There's bad estrogens, good. This is the good estrogens that low.
mhm,
So she says to him, "Do you like me?" He says, "Yes." He doesn't say, "Of course." That's off the menu. Of course means what a stupid question to ask. So you don't ever say, "Of course." And he's prepped for this. If my wife said, of course I like you. She says, do you love me? I said, what do you think I don't love you for? Well, I do all this stuff for you. How can you think that? That's if you don't have this as a process, just like
mhm,
you would give somebody a foot massage. This is an estrogen massage. And so she says, do you like me? He says, yes, I like you. He says, do you love me? Yes, I love you. How much do you love me? With all my heart. And this is the warm up. Just like women need foreplay to raise estrogen, this is the warm up that allows a man to start connecting with his feelings. Because
Okay.
we walk around not connected to our feelings. Okay.
Right.
When testosterone's up, we detach from feelings. This is you're asking a question. He's giving you an answer that you want to hear.
Yeah.
So he's solving a problem. He's giving you reassurance.
Yes.
This is something men do not understand. Okay, so you have to get over the whole hump that we're supposed to like understand this. Bonnie said for years until we figured this out. She said, John, I need reassurance. What do you need? I do this, and what would it look like? And so this exercise was created. So she just says, do you like me? Yes. Do you love me? Yes. How much do you love me? With all my heart. Now, I'm not feeling all my heart at this point.
Right. Right.
See, I'm now looking for it. See, I put it into words. See, words is a reaction inside. I just true. So you start to look for that. So you love me. Do you think I'm beautiful? Is my favorite one because you're so beautiful. This is something women do not know how much men think you're beautiful. It's just this is so key, particularly in our society. Wrinkles come, body changes. We still think you're beautiful when our heart is open. So see, you already warmed up his heart. Then he can say those words, yes, you're so beautiful. Then you say, and am I the only one for you? You are the only one for me. Are you glad you married me? I'm so glad. Do you regret marrying me? No, I don't regret marrying you. Even though there might be some time in the last week, why did I marry this woman? Okay. We all have these moments. Women have them too. I married the wrong guy. It's just like moments. So this just affirms the truth when she says, and do you regret marrying me? I don't regret marrying me. I'm the only one for you. You're the only one for me. You'll always love me. Yeah, I'll always love you, honey. Now, do I know that I will always love? We can't know what the future brings, but that's just logic. This is romantic talk. This is what you feel. And that's what when we fall in love, we feel I will always love you. So you're just activating that part, which is soulful, because the soul is sort of this eternal part of us that goes on and on. So we always love you. I'll always love you. You're my sweetheart. And then you're done. It's just 1 minute. She'll do this. And then when we make love or when we have sex, the point in my mind, as always, and what allows me to last so long in sex, so she's had her orgasms or whatever she wants in sex, allows me to stay there longer, is because it's not just sex, it's making love. I use sex, and I say this to men, sex is so easy to feel arousal. So you feel the arousal, then use that increased feeling of pleasure to feel your love. I can feel my right hand, I can feel my left hand. If I'm feeling pleasure, now I'm feeling. So with my newfound feeling, increased feeling is increased estrogen. Let me feel the love in my heart and communicate that through my behavior, through my actions, and through my caring, and also doing this exercise. Now, so many couples don't talk during sex. This is something a woman can do again and again.
Yeah.
Brings the energy for the man. It helps bring it just from the sex center up to his heart, up to speech, into where he has a full body experience. That will allow the man to last longer. Otherwise, if it's just sexual, it's really just a very quick kind of it's highly it's so quick. So it takes education. So I wrote a whole book called Mars, Venus in the Bedroom, educating men about how women are different. To create that polarity in the bedroom is another biohack. But I don't have this biohack I just gave in that book. It's not in any of my books. So I always like to throw it in at the end of an interview to get my best stuff. So that one is so simple, so sweet. And there's a lot more. You know, all my books are filled with these things that men can do for women and things that women can do for men to give him the opportunity to be successful and making her happier. That's the whole. Going from, I need estrogen, I'm a woman, I'm on my male side. What do I need you for now? Well, I make enough money, so that's not going to create a big thrill for me, but I need love. And that's Maslow's work. Maslow talked about when we get out of survival and security, then what we need each other for, what we need in our life is one is personal achievement. And that's why women have gone to their male side. That's what men are on their side. We want to accomplish this. And then we also have a need for emotional fulfillment. Those are your two levels. Once you're out of survival and security, personal achievement and emotional fulfillment. So the emotional fulfillment for men is to feel successful in providing emotional fulfillment for women. And the woman's emotional fulfillment is to have a man who she can motivate to provide the emotional fulfillment for her. Don't just expect a man to know this stuff, and don't expect him to be as motivated as he was in the beginning, because in the beginning he had the aid of dopamine, which is like the hormone of go, get it done, gives you motivation. Men's motivation always will go less as the comfort comes back into the relationship. Hey, why do we have to change anything? I love you, you know you're mine. Well, so what do I need to show it, prove it again and again and again?
Right.
It's actually just treating the biology with respect, understanding women have certain needs to go from not stress to romantic feeling. And that's one of the great needs that women today have, which is because the huge consumption of romantic books that women read, and the complaints that women have when you talk to women who are married, who want to get a divorce, they're not happy, they're missing the romance. And sex is a part of the romance, okay? But it's not the only part. It's the love. Women are needing reassurance that they're loved. And it's like if you think of it like vitamins, we all, as women, you need more, like men, we need more zinc than women. Otherwise, so we need more of something. And women, what vitamin do women need that more than men? I don't know, but I do know that men need more zinc than women. So what do men need more of? What do women need more of? What I found is that in relationships, women need more gestures and activities and expressions from the man that say, I care.
Yeah.
You're my number one.
Yeah.
And also that I understand. I know where you're coming from. I'm not judging you as being unloving. To understand is to let go of all judgments. I want to harp on that for just a moment to let people really see the power of understanding where a woman's coming from. Sometimes when I'm driving my car, and I tend to be a fast driver, I go in the fast lane whenever possible, and somebody's in that lane and they're going slow. So it's like I'm being stopped. I feel irritated. Sometimes I might even feel a little angry. And if I was in a hurry. But what most people will do, you'll pass that other person and then you'll look back at them. I like to give them the evil eye.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, what's behind that looking back is actually your soul is seeking to understand why are you playing? Why are you going slow? And literally, and I've been driving a long time, when I look at somebody, immediately I understand. Then when I see them, I can understand. Oh,
yes.
It's a new car. She's young. It's an old guy, somebody from another country. It's just, there's always a reason. And I look at them, I intuitively get that reason. I look at them, all my judgment is gone.
Absolutely.
That's what understanding is. We men are at a huge, huge deficit of being able to understand where women are coming through, particularly when they're unhappy. Why is that making you unhappy? What's going on? Really to have a whole in-depth understanding of what women's challenges are today. I mean, they're over here on their achievement side, they need a new kind of emotional fulfillment that many of them don't even know what that is. And in a way, a woman could say, just listen to me. I have been listening to you for 40 minutes. She doesn't feel heard. So she'll keep saying, you're not listening, because he's not hearing her, because he's tearing apart everything she's saying from the point of view, well, that's not logical. That's an overreaction.
Yeah.
Understanding my perspective is all negativity is an overreaction. And by hearing it, it will come back into balance. And most men just don't know that. So all I have to do is take time. I might follow my procedures of this is the guys listening. Help me understand that better. Tell me more. What else? And she will have a chance to go from what she's frustrated about to feeling good. And what women can learn is how to consciously do that. That would be great. If you're a guy, you're in a relationship with a woman, just read this book together. I would suggest reading also Mars, Venus in the Bedroom together. It's a great way to, particularly in new relationships, to set the standard right. And also in later relationships, it's hard to create changes later because the guy will take it like, well, why didn't you tell me that 20 years ago?
Like I need to have you back on because everything you're speaking about is so important, John, and I have more specific questions.
Well, and also I want to wind up real fast. I know that I can take, really addressing what women can do. And I know you
Yes.
a lot of men and what men can do. So I just want to, every one of those things is what men can do, even when a woman doesn't understand what she needs,
Yeah.
which is if you're feeling frustrated, know that a woman is going to panic. She thinks, oh, he's
Right.
happy with me. So you just say, you don't say, I'm feeling frustrated. You say, I'm just thinking about what you said. Just know whenever you become quiet, a woman's going to panic inside. I'm just thinking about what you said. Everything's cool.
Hmm.
What a woman can do is if a man pulls away, she says, instead of saying, what do you feel?
Hmm.
She can simply say, so you're thinking about what I was saying. And he'll say, yes. And that yes is a reassuring gesture. The tone of voice will be yes. The more we can do yes, the better thing.
Right.
If you're angry with a woman, don't talk about it. If you want her to change, don't talk about it when you're angry or frustrated or anything. Just suck it up. There's a thing that we men have the ability to do that we've been trained not to do because everybody thinks we have to talk about our feelings. You
No,
don't have to.
no.
And what
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I'm so against that as well. I think it's, emasculating to continue to tell men they need to talk about their feelings.
Yeah, I just stay away from any negative emotion. You can talk about your positive feelings. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to work today. I've got
Yeah.
this confident I'm going to get this done. But when you don't have those positive feelings, it's not the time to talk to her. However, she, on the other hand, will benefit if she's not having positive feelings to talk about it. But women don't understand the importance of not talking negative feelings about him. Okay. They just feel like they
Yeah.
need to talk. And so what you do is a preemptive move, which is you try to get her to talk about other things that are bothering her, practicing listening, help me understand that better, tell me more, and not solving her problem, and see that she'll feel better. Or
Yeah.
she will say, what do you think about that? Then you can softly give her what you think about it as a potential solution, but
Hmm.
never tell her she's wrong or she shouldn't be upset or you shouldn't be hurt about that or you shouldn't worry about that. It's basically have a thought, but know that there, if you shut a woman down, she's going to not feel attraction to you. And you want a woman to be attracted to you. There was a whole movie about this called The Witches of Eastwick. Did you ever see
Hmm.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever wrote that was genius. It was the same guy, three different ways to seduce a woman. Okay. He had the woman who was the feminist, who told her he served her this beautiful meal, invites her into her castle, takes him straight to the bedroom, and she's offended by oh, you just think about sex. How dare you think you can just win me over with sex? And he didn't get mad at her. He just persisted. See, what she needed was to experience being angry at a man and have him not react with anger back. And he won
Oh,
her over
yeah.
that way. A woman being unhappy with you without you becoming unhappy with her means you're not judging her. You're understanding why she feels the way she feels.
Yeah.
And you always understand her because if you're irritable, if you're irritated, annoyed, or angry or defensive, that means you don't understand that here's this lovely,
Yeah.
wonderful who loves you, who's
Yeah.
only to talk about her feelings so their relationship can get better. So you
Yeah.
just get upset about it. And then the other one was, I don't know if I can remember all three, but that was the first one. It was just not being reactive to a woman. The next one was romantic gestures, doing romantic things for her. And this is prioritizing her and doing things for her. And I can't remember the third one. It's just not popping in my head, maybe because we're finishing up here. But those are two of the ones we cover here today, which is in my mind, it kind of comes up with it might have been another movie, but him being is very respectful towards mothers and raising their children and wanting
Mm.
to help, being very practical, can do. The guy who fixed things, so he was a can do guy. Women
Yeah.
need a can do guy who's happy and ready to respond to little problems around the house. It's not going to be
Right.
this whole thing of manana, I'll get to it later, and he forgets to do it. It's not attractive. So
No.
the biohack for that, by the way, is another one, which is I got to finish up here, but the last one is a 5 minute. You put your hands up 5 minutes, which I'm going to make a request of you that will take less than 5 minutes. And I
Okay.
just want, and we've agreed that I can do one a day, and your response is going to be eager and positive.
Okay.
Do it and respond immediately and do whatever I ask you to do in a 5 minute. And knowing that only takes 5 minutes, I don't expect more, and I will be appreciative. So
Perfect.
lots of fun little things that we can do to embrace our relationship. So God can say that to her. So it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be saying. I just want you to know, I know you live in a world of have to, busy, busy, busy. So you can put your hand up whatever you ask, and it's less than 5 minutes, I'll do immediately with a big smile on my face. I'm your genie in a bottle, happy to fix the problem.
Those are really great tips, John. And yeah, I'll contact you, your assistant to see when we can get you back on for to answer my other questions. But no, this was a really great review of my question to you in terms of how can men and women connect more being so biologically different. And you did a great job.
Thank you
So
so much. Yeah.
thank you and everyone else. We'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. Remember that you can watch the full episode on YouTube, where I plan to hang out the most. Your feedback and suggestions for future guests are incredibly valuable to me, so please don't hesitate to post a comment. You are an integral part of this journey.